Gee, that's still the dopest intro. That's that. That's
I
that.
was literally just thinking that watching it. I'm like, I might be just because I'm so excited to get back in the cage. I'm like, it's getting closer. So I'm like, just watching that, I'm like, oh, let's do this. Let's go. It gets me hyped every time.
I know like Dean and Cohen is on UFC Fight Pass and stuff. Their intro, their shit ain't nothing to ours. Come on now. Come on now, Dean. I know
you step the game up.
I know he's been like a pioneer and all that and like been in MMA for like 35 years or some shit, older than both of us, but come on now. Our intro's fire.
At least we got that down pat.
Yes, we do. Awesome. Well, cool. It's episode 16. We had 2 little Instagram lives. I actually like those a lot. It's very I like the fan interaction, and it's very like quick, and it's very, you never know what people are going to ask or talk about. So it's awesome. Keeps us on our feet. But yeah, episode 16, just rolling through.
You saying that, I'm like, which episode are we even on? There's so many right now. I'm like, to be on 16, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Cool. So we got some awesome fan questions we'll get into, talk about anything that's happening with you in your life. But then just mostly the thing that really popped at me is last week, our girl Juju, Juliana Miller, who was on the show maybe a month ago, she won the Ultimate Fighter, and how she won. She did the DX crop shot. Like, she's everywhere. She was on Ariel show. She is everywhere right now. I'm so happy for Juju. Big things to come. This week, a ton of female fights, especially a couple. You fought Priscilla before. Lupi's on the card. And then Cynthia Calvillo was on the card. Next week, Miranda Maverick. And a lot of stuff. A lot of Gillian Robertson ties. So a lot of shit. I mean, it's crazy. But let's start last week. How did you watch the Juju fight live, or did you watch it afterwards?
I tried to watch it live, but okay. I'm an old lady, so I went to bed. So I watched it the next morning.
Yeah.
But so like going into when like months and months ago, I was fighting. I can't remember. I think it might have been when I was fighting Priscilla Cachoeira. I was at the PI and I was getting some work done on me, and Juliana came in there and she was like, yeah, she's like, I just need to get some work done. Just got to make it through one more. And just the way she was talking, I was like, oh, she's in the final. Like, I know it. Just the way she was talking, I already knew that she was in the final. And so it's like, I've kind of like just suspected this whole time that she was going to be doing this well. And like, I honestly feel like her, like Juliana Pena and Juliana Miller are like almost the exact same fighter if you look at them. I'm like both just so tough, so aggressive, constantly coming forward, great jiu-jitsu. It was just a pleasure to watch her, and it was awesome to see her get her hand raised.
For sure. So many things there. I want to kind of bounce back. One, you said Juliana Pena. You know how she reminds me a lot, and I know there's a little bit difference of the ending grappling style, but she reminds me of Colby Covington. Like, she just moves forward. She's just so aggressive and goes. And she wants to clinch and she wants to wrestle, and Colby wants to wrestle and grapple you down. Like, but they get better and better striking than people want to give them credit for. And I love it. I thought she looked so good. She looked dominant. And then she is like you in a way. And every time I talk to her, she is so down for finishes. She's like she almost, even if she wins, 15 minutes, UD 30-27, 30-26, whatever, she's like, that's good. She still feels a little bit like, fuck, I didn't finish. Like, she won. That's savagery. We know it. And then the same kind of thing. So I had that picture of her. She came down to Icon in Miami, and same thing. She already taped it, and she wasn't allowed to say anything. And that's before like her and I were like friends and mutuals. So like she was just like kind of and like people were introducing me to her, and they're like, hey, this is Dave with Fight Bananas. He works in MMA media. So like she has to kind of keep her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like she was talking about it too, and she was just very, the show's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I can't wait to watch it all. And like when you talk like that and watch it all and stuff like that, the same thing. I was like, oh, this is gonna go good for her. Like, this is good,
Oh yeah, I'm like, just by the way she was talking, I'm like, oh, I think it is. I think something's up, because, like you said, like watch it all. I didn't even want to promote my one fight on the channel. Like they're telling you, they're like, oh yeah, you got to get your whole like friends and family there and act like you don't know the results of the fight. And I'm going there. I'm like, yay, let's go all watch me get TKO'd.
I was gonna say this. Do the UFC does that? They ask you, they want you to kind of promote it like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's like, hey, watch my fight.
well, you can't really necessarily release the results. I can't be like, oh, I lost this, I won this. So it's like you have to kind of just be like, oh yeah, watch my fight. It's happening now. It's live. So yeah, it's definitely like, because I remember in my fight, I had one moment where I got an armbar really deep in the first round. So I'm sitting there with all my friends and family, and they're like cheering, getting all excited. I'm like, no, guys, like it gets a lot worse. Don't.
That was ages ago, dude. Ages.
I'm like, somebody was talking to me about that the other day, and I was thinking, I'm like, that was 5 years ago for me now. So I'm like, I was 22 years old. I was a baby in the house.
You were crazy. Oh my gosh. All right. What do you think about Priscilla fight on the show? And then I think I know what you're going to say, but I still am going to ask it. Like, and you were kind of very not positive, but you were like, hey, she was kind of drowning and you're fighting for their life. Like you weren't, a lot of other people, like we said, we talked about, like Rogan's like, dude, fire her. Like that was awful. Right. But you weren't like you played the very high on the mountain. Like you played that role. You played it well. My point is this is her second fight since then. Like, I don't know, like, does it bug you at all or a little bit? Does it like a little bit of like, dude, like these girls are like snapping off fights. And I know who you are. Like, if you said, Dave, if I had the Chimaev, if I fought 3 times in 2 months or 5 times in 6 months, like I'm down. Like that is your thing. Like, does it get you a little bit? It's like UFC, like, let me have a 5-fight run in 6 months. Like, let me go for that. Like, does that, like when someone else fights over you, it like almost takes your date. Does that make sense? You know what I'm getting at?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely see your point of view, but I guess just my way of looking at it for me right now, I'm like, I don't feel like I necessarily deserve it necessarily because I lost my last. So I'm like, I feel like girls who are, I'm not sure if Priscilla's won her last one or not.
She did win her last one, but like, let me just cut you off right. She lost to you.
Yeah.
Like you made her tap out like in a sick fashion, not trying to, you know how much I love you and all that stuff. Like I thought that was one of your best performances. Like I thought you looked awesome. You got her on the ground. You got her thing. You were nasty. You were savagery on the ground. You made her tap. Like there's nothing better than that. Like you made her tap out to you, and she's getting like multiple more fights in front of you. Like I'm not trying, but I don't know.
Yeah, I like because I feel like we both got a fight after that, and then it's like she did better. She won that one, and I lost mine. So it's like now I'm like, I'm just happy for the opportunity that I got now that I have a fight coming up. I've had a long training camp with this one, which is nice. I'm like, I feel like for some reason with the UFC, they either like to give me a 2-week training camp or a 16-week training camp. So like, there's no in between. But I'm thankful, especially being with a new team this time, starting at a new gym, to have a full camp with them and be able to really get accustomed to their style. Just really hearing the coach talk in the corner, getting accustomed to his voice, just a lot of different things.
Talking about that, I know, yeah, on Instagram we like hinted at it, but we never talked about it. So, okay, you're fighting that Gapapova. Like I don't think we talked about on the show when that name came to you, and were you, because I know you liked that Gatto fight. Like that was a cool fight. She's got a nice name to her. That was going to be a good fight. We were all happy, with that going down. When it switched out, were you depressed or were you like, damn, I wanted that fight? And then when it got to a Gapapova, you're like, ooh, okay, like from afar, like she's a great striker. She's long, she's lean, she's southpaw. But if you can get inside of her, it's kind of a little bit, it's known that's her weakness, and that goes into your strength. Like, are you happy with this matchup?
With the opponent change, I feel like it's always like, I don't know, I guess going into, you have to expect that. You have to be able to walk in the cage against anybody. Like 2 weeks out, my opponent can change. So like, you never know. This is my third opponent change this camp. So it's like, losing the Gatto fight, I wasn't necessarily like upset. I'm like, literally all Dean told me about it. He was like, just call her out the next, after you win. Like, just call out Gatto after I get the sub this time. So I'm like, there's always going to be that opportunity. And Maria Agpova and I actually trained together for a couple months at ATT. Right. So it's like we have a lot of familiarity. We've gotten a lot of work together, and I'm happy with how those rounds went. So I'm confident walking into this fight. I feel like you said, it's going to be my world once we get anywhere in the clinch, anywhere on the ground. It's going to be my fight, 100%.
Is she still down there? Didn't she go to ATT Sunrise? Like, isn't she still down there?
Yeah. She's at ATT Sunrise now, I believe.
That's what I thought the last time I saw. I haven't seen of her in the last month or two. I don't know if she's doing that on purpose or that's part of her thing, or maybe I'm just not catching it, like through socials. But like, I remember seeing her a lot at Sunrise after she moved on, I think, to ATT, American Cup. So.
Yeah, probably about, I want to say it was like a year ago. She had, I think it was her fight against Sabina Mazo coming up. I actually helped her prep for it. I went down to the ATT Sunrise and I was training with her. So it was I think it was last October around there.
Nice. And then her last fight, I believe, was against Morose, who I bet you probably had rounds with before too. And she's at ATT. And like, again, like Agapova, she's been this highly anticipated like prospect, and like the UFC keeps on like, she's ready, she's coming on. I remember she was the biggest favorite on the card like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when she lost to Eubanks, I believe. And then everyone thought she was going to beat Morose or kind of do her thing, and then Marina beat her as well. So it's like it's fun. To me, yeah. It's when you told me that was the matchup, I was like, okay, I like that. And then like you said, just hey, Gatto, this time don't drop. Like, let's do it in December.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, both those matchups I would have been super excited for, and like you said, let's run it a couple months later. I want to get in the cage at least one more time before the end of the year, so let's make it happen.
Dude, they threw Molly quick. She's on that November card against Aaron. I kind of want to talk to you about that. That would be dope. You versus Gatto, under that card. Because it is funny. They do like to have like 2 or 3 female fights, it seems like, on each card, especially like during the prelims. And I would assume, right? Like, I would assume Molly would be on the pay-per-view now. Like, she's incredible. But that's a dope fight. Like, I know Molly's awesome and she's great. And like, it's funny how everyone's like so pro Molly since this fight announcement with Aaron. Like, wow, Molly's going to win. Dude, Aaron is no joke. Like, Aaron Blanchfield she's a girl. She's it. That's a great fight.
And it's like, obviously, I've got all the love in the world for Molly, but she also hasn't really fought any true grapplers since me. I'm like, maybe Tyler Santos is like, Tyler's a little bit well-rounded. Tyler can do everything. And that's Molly's other last loss. But I'm like, a lot of the girls that she's fought and that she's getting the spectacular knockouts over are straight strikers. So I feel like this is going to pose a very like big question, because Aaron's got great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu, and we'll see if Molly has gotten her level up that much. I feel like right now everybody thinks that her grappling's great because she hasn't gotten taken down. She's taking girls down. But like I said, she's also fighting a lot of strikers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you give her a girl who's more of a straight grappler, a girl who's going to try to take her down and is high level on the ground. I feel like this is Molly's real big test to see if she is worth the ranking, worth that top 15.
For sure. And, the UFC knows what they're doing. Like, they had O'Malley with a run, and, Patty, Chimaev, Molly, like when someone kind of hits outside the cage and really builds up a lot of steam, the UFC knows how to get a couple wins. Even Bo Nickel, like, dude, and I know you're not crazy into like a lot of the socials on the UFC side, right? Bo Nickel was like fucking everywhere, G, for like 12 hours, 24 hours. He was everywhere. I commentated his fights for Island Fights. He was at Icon. Like, I have a lot of ties to Bo. Did you see him? What do you think of him? Like, God damn, he's the real deal. He's the real deal.
I honestly don't understand why Dana even gave him that spot. If he was going to go out there and perform so perfectly, and Dana was going to be like, let's not give him a contract.
Right. You're kind of right. Like, you do exactly what you want. Like, a first round 1 minute finish on the Contender Series. Everyone ever has got a contract. Everyone. Like, and he did, like, that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes in the game. Like, there is, to me, I think there was definitely a 2-fight Contender Series thing. He was literally 1-0. Like, yeah, that is insane that he already got a Contender Series fight in a way. Mm-hmm. It is pretty wild, because usually I even think it is still kind of early. Like, you have to go 4 or 5 wins and then you get that Contender Series fight. Like, Bo was 1-0, like 1-0, 32-second knockout too on that one fight.
Even I feel like it can be such a curse too for him. Like,
Yeah.
trying to rush that career, trying to get in there too fast. And like for me, I feel like that was the worst thing. I was only 3-2 when I got signed.
Right.
So it's like now you're learning everything that you have to, like, all your learning experiences on the biggest stage in the world. So every single mistake you make is being capitalized on 100%. Like these girls are good and they're not going to let you slip up. They're not going to let you make a little mistake and then come back. They're going to be on top of you. And like, it's hard to learn that on the big stage. So it's like, if I was Bo Nickel, I'd try to get as much regional experience, just like get 5-6 fights on the regional scene, get comfortable in there, and then come to the UFC. It's like when he starts going with like high level strikers, like who knows how good his wrestling's going to hold up.
Right. It's great. Like you say that too about like your past career. If you think of just 3 names you fought Molly and had great experience with that, but like you see where she's at and her momentum. Santos, like when you fought Santos, everyone thought like, oh, that she's a prospect, but no one thought that she was gonna one day fight for the title. And when she fought, like you said it, I think you believe Santos won that fight, beat Valentina, right? Like she looked that good that night. Another Lauren Murphy, right? You fought in the best, and then
no, I haven't fought her, but trained with her. Yeah,
same card, right? That one night, the pizza.
Oh yeah. No, me and Lauren, we've trained together a lot, but we've never fought yet.
Okay. Hey, don't want to make that fight. That fight. We like Lauren. We like Lucky Lauren. One last fight. More fights than I thought we were going to talk about, and like I said, we have some cool, fun questions. I really like this Loopy and Angie Hill fight. It's the young inner prime on the ascendant, and can Angie kind of fight her off? One thing I didn't really realize, like, gee, Angie Hill is 13-12.
Yeah,
like, that's wild to me. Like and she's like got it, she's on the desk and she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes and all that nature. But I didn't realize her record was 13-12.
That's one of the girls. Whenever you said like, do you get mad? Like some girls get fight opportunities and you don't. There was one year she got like 5 fights in a year, and that year I was mad. Where I was like, I'm sitting here begging for fights, and like you guys are just overlooking me and keep on giving her fights. And you said she doesn't have an outstanding record, so it was like. I was like, why is she deserving this opportunity? And I'm not.
Right.
But the Loopy fight, I'm absolutely in love with Loopy. Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, like, this is just a perfect match for her. Like, she's going to go out there and just show her wrestling and show her jiu-jitsu to its best ability. I feel like Angela is the ideal opponent to do something like that, too.
I agree. I like Loopy a lot. That's Saturday. ESPN Plus. The main event too, Chito Vera versus Dominic Cruz. That's a sick main event. I like that a lot. All right. Oh,
I was gonna say Chito's the biggest dog in the game. I feel like he's just such a gangster. So I'm always like Team Chito. But Dominic, I don't see him being able, like I said, how Chito's a dog. I don't see Dominic having that in him. And I just see Chito being able to walk him down a lot of this fight.
I agree. Like, we have the Bet and Show under our banner and stuff like that. So I picked Chito Vera. I think he's going to win. I think he's like minus 230, 240. It's not a heavy favorite, so I kind of like it. The one thing I did say, it's like one of those things, to me, it's not a lock at all. Like, I just said that if we wake up on Sunday morning and you already went to bed, so you watched the fight Sunday morning, and Dominic Cruz won via split decision. Like, I can I can see that in a way. I can see Dom winning round 1 and 2. Usually Cruz is like kind of slow. Not Cruz. Vera's kind of slow. Kind of takes in a lot. Even losing to Frankie Edgar, I remember in New York, I believe. Like he kind of takes in a lot of information, and then he's so violent. But Dominic is so quick and good on the feet. Like maybe that violence doesn't get to him. I don't know. Like it's one of those things. I'm picking Vera, but I can see a way that Dominic does win. Like if he kind of gets off early and gets out of that pocket quick, maybe like it just messes with Vera a little bit. I don't know. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I feel like if Dominic plays like his general like footwork kind of game, if he can really like play that with Chito, then he can win. Like I feel like if Dominic wins the fight, it's not going to be a fun fight to watch.
I agree with that. I'm actually typing that I should have done before the show started, but hey, so I get paid the medium bucks. And question. There we go. All right. So, there's always like a ton of stuff that we can't use on the show. Maybe one day that would be the UFC Fight Pass version. We'll be like the rated R part of Mic Cuddles. That'll be what Fight Pass wants. There's some good ones. All right. One was, what has been the toughest part of your MMA journey to this point?
The toughest part. I feel like just every other day.
Right.
It's like you just have to like really make sure you always have a love for this sport and just trying to keep on finding that love for the sport. And I feel like that's the hard time, is when it starts to become work, you know?
Yeah.
It stops becoming as much fun, and it's really a job, and it's like it's hard to find that. And I feel like you just got to maintain that passion, and sometimes that's the hardest thing, is just maintaining that love and making sure it's always fun and you enjoy it and love what you do, because I feel like that's what leads to the wins, that's what leads to the victories, is when you really fucking love this.
True. Facts. This is a good one right here. I like this, and I don't think we've ever talked about it. They go, if you worked for the UFC, would you delete the female featherweight class and add a Tama weight, which is 105? Like, do you think they should have a 105 or a 145?
I definitely think they should have a 105 versus a 145. I'm like, just like, statistically speaking, there's not a lot of athletic women that are that big that are going to be walking around like 160, 170 pounds, because those girls that are cutting to 145 are that big. So it's like there's just a very small pool of women in general. And then for one, I know probably I could name a good like 10 105ers that they just don't have an opportunity. They don't have anything to do. I have a girl who's coming down to work with me next week, Ari Melendez. I'm like, she's talking to me. Yeah, she's going down to 105 now because she's just a little bit too small for 115. But she's like, she also doesn't really have a lot of opportunities with it. She's talking about signing with Combate with it, but the UFC doesn't have a platform. So I'm like, I would love to see a lot of those girls get the opportunity to have a platform for that kind of exposure.
For sure. And another one does the betting show with us, Elle Wagman. She's there at American Top Team, Grant Dawson's fiance. She's a 105er. And I like always joke with her about going to 115. She's like, no, like I'm big. I'm nice for 105. For 115, I'm just small, and I feel it, and I just don't crack as hard as some of those girls. And then also too with that, it's like, I would think a lot of strawweights would move down to 105. Like if they would, right now the UFC strawweight division stacked, I would think 6 to 8 girls right now in the top 20, 22 be like, oh shit, I'm 105 right now. And I would just like clean up some of the division, I believe.
I don't know if she would necessarily make the move anymore because she's a little bit older now, but girls like, say like Carla Esparza, Tisha Torres, who have been around for years in the 115 division, but they've walked like 118, maybe 120, you know, they're very small girls just frame wise. They're not necessarily 15ers, but they're having to go out there against girls like Joanna. Whenever I was at ATT, she would come into camp sometimes at like 140. So it's like she's making that cut to 115 and just having an obnoxious amount of size on these girls walking in a cage.
Crazy. I don't know if you know this yet. They go, what's your next walkout song?
I generally go with the same walkout song, but I'm actually thinking about changing it this time. I don't know. I'm kind of on edge. It's usually always PIMP by 50 Cent. I'm like, just the way it drops when you walk out, it's absolutely perfect in an arena.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something's got me thinking. Just maybe like new gym, everything new. I feel like you're gonna see a new me a lot too fighting. So I'm thinking about a new walkout song.
Dope. What story in this past month had you laughing the most?
Story in this last month. All the crazy shit that happens at my gym.
I was gonna say that. I was just gonna throw that out there. Since you going to GOAT and you're working with 20 people that have the same passion and love that you do. So just there's the good camaraderie and all that. Do you see yourself at training kind of having one like more fun, or just like laughing more and being part of like a team in a way, but just like having that shit go than you used to have more of like it's just you and Dean, or you Dean and Shorty, you Dean and David, whatever. Like, do you feel like that's more right now?
Oh yeah, it's definitely more of a team environment, and it's like that's essentially honestly why I moved down there, why I started working with them, is because I didn't really have a team, and just a lot of different looks. It's like I always had a good drilling partner and a good coach, but I just needed the different looks, the different bodies to train with. And it's like I really now have all that support, different rounds. There's a lot of like smaller guys at the gym too. So I'm like, I feel like I just have all the bodies and all the work in the world. So it's like I really do love being there.
You got to talk to your boy Juan about his. So some of his videos, some of his pictures he puts out there on social. I'm like, come on, my guy, come on, like, dude, he's a stud. I've commentated. I think we commentated one. Yeah, his title fight down there, Island Fights. Man, he's showing a lot of skin. A lot of skin.
The first stripper MMA fighter. He's repping it hard.
I know. I love it. Hey, he's got a gimmick. I like it. He's got a stick. I like it.
So I think that I want to say we might have talked about this on the last Instagram Live when we found a bunny. There was a little white bunny that we found outside the gym. And it was just a completely like chill, like just, it was somebody's pet or something before. It was just a completely chill, like rabbit. And it's a little white bunny, and Juan ended up bringing it home. And it's a little Playboy bunny, you know?
That's a Juan. That
that's a Juan.
Sense. That's a Juan. That's a Juan. This is a good one. They go 2 goals for you to end up 2022.
2 goals. Gosh, I hate being put on the spot like this. I'm like, I for goals wise, I'm always so like just looking for the next thing right now. So it's right now, it's like it's just my fight. That's my current goal, and then once this is over, then we'll start looking into the next thing, which will probably be the fight after that. So I say at least one goal would be 2 wins before the end of the year. I just want to constantly just keep on progressing, keep on improving, and just stay focused on the sport. I would also like, I guess, outside of the sport, like to maybe get some more opportunities like podcasting, broadcasting, things like that. So that would be another goal too, is just something outside of MMA.
Dope. Yeah, we got, we dropped his name at the beginning, right? So we got to talk to Dean. We got to call him, be like, hey, dude, our intro is so good. Like this is Fight Pass content right here.
Put him on the desk. Just put us on the desk. We got it.
Yeah, put us on the desk. A picture of you and I with the intro. People will be like, dude, where do we sign? Like,
exactly.
3-year deal. Like, geez. They can, if they want to change the name, maybe something with hair. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But it's kind of not of a question, but more of they're saying something nice to you. They go, I'd love to do some dabs and run Red Rocks with you. You are a beast. You're my favorite fighter to watch.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm like, Colorado was absolutely one of the most amazing places I've been. I feel like I've been hiking to a couple places, but that's definitely up in the top there. So Red Rocks is an absolutely gorgeous place. I'm like everywhere out there. I feel like I like to just be out in nature. I like to be out doing things. So I'm like, that was absolutely spectacular times.
For sure. We're running out, so we'll do one more, and then we'll kind of close it. They go, when would we see you in another grappling match?
That's a good question right now. I'm not really sure. I haven't had. Well, I think I had one opportunity a couple months ago, and then I ended up taking the JJ Aldrich fight on the same day, so I had to pull out of that. I just haven't had an opportunity. I haven't had any opportunities come up. My cauliflower ear, my headphones hard to stay in.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love it. There you go. Fan questions, dude. A lot of fight. Like I said, it just, when I looked at it, I always try to like have some fun topics or just go back and forth. And it's like, wow, the Juju fight, we had her on the show, and then Molly just got announced. Miranda Maverick, we didn't even mention her. She's fighting next week at the pay-per-view in Salt Lake City. A lot of stuff went by. 30 minutes.
So many fights coming up. I'm like, it's just, I feel like this whole, like this last month and then what's coming up has just been so exciting in the fight world. So I'm like, just too much to talk about.
It is. Well, last thing, I'm going to throw out a theory. So, you know me, I have the podcast, and it's just it's my style not to like, oh, last week Jamal Hill won. He defeated Santos. Jamal Hill should fight that. It's just like everyone can do that. And that's just not my style. My thing that I threw out, and we posted on social for Fight Bananas, and it's just got like a ton of back and forth, which I love. It's great. It's kind of makes us think. UFC 280, Makhachev and Oliveira is the main event. One of the best. I cannot wait. It's like one of the best fights of the year. Insane fight. That's the main event. Co-main is Dillashaw and Sterling. And then underneath is Peter Yan versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. And my thing is, I think Sugar Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan's the bigger fight. It's the more talked about fight. It's the fight that people want to see more. That should be the co-main event. And Sterling and Dillashaw, even if it's for the championship, should be underneath it. That's my take. That's my theory. And my big thing is this, if they're both, there's 2 arenas in Las Vegas and you give 1,000 tickets and they got to put in it's one fight. They're going to go to see Sterling Dillashaw for the title or Peter Yan and O'Malley, one of each. And who would get more? Dude, O'Malley and Yan would win. They would have more people go to that fight. Am I wrong on that?
I'm like, I don't want to agree with you, but I feel like I have to.
You don't have to. You don't have to, but it's just like.
It makes a lot of sense what you're saying, but it's all like, it's like logically you feel okay, like the champ should get that spot, but like what you're saying makes 100% sense.
Thank you. And like, so everyone kept on like, so in the comments and questions, and I was going back and forth with DMs and all this stuff on the Fight Bananas platforms. Everyone's like, oh, it's for the championship. I'm like, okay, so, and then they're like, well, that's how they've always done it. I'm like, dude, that's like the death nail. I'm like, dude, we used to have our phones on walls. Like our father and mother used to have to talk to each other on a phone on a wall. Now we go to the bathroom, we in the car, we're in the airport, airplane, whatever. Like we used to smoke on airplanes. Like people would smoke cigarettes sitting next to you on an airplane. Like that's the dumbest thing to say. That's what we used to do. Like we evolved. We do better shit in 2022 than in 1980. So like when that was the number one thing that kept on coming up, I was like, oh, that's how they do it. It's like, so they're doing it wrong. Like O'Malley, dude, love him or hate him, he's a fucking superstar. And I even think like in a weird way right now, Jan's like underrated. Like Jan beat Sterling 2 times ago. Even Dana White thought Jan defeated Sterling in the last fight that he just lost. It's like, dude, everyone's forgetting how good Peter Yan was. When he beat Corey Sandhagen in that main event, like people are like, whoa, he's like pound for pound. Like he hasn't lost yet. He was a murderer, you know? So
no, Jan's one of the biggest gangsters in the division. I'm like absolutely in love with his style, everything about him. Just need to add a little bit more grappling and we'll be good.
Yeah. And hopefully that's probably what he's, working on these 6-8, especially after losing the championship that way. He didn't lose the fight. You lost grappling, transitions in the fight. That's how he lost. So you would think that's all that man's doing is grappling. He's got Habib and Chimaev just wrestle him in Dagestan. That's all he's doing.
Quite the team there to do that.
That's a good one. But hey, that's my theory. There we go. We're leaving it. Dude, we went over 30 minutes. That's crazy. Unbelievable. Mic Cuddles, episode 16, guys. At the bottom, subscribe, download on all podcast platforms. Go get it. That's it. You have anything to advertise or promote? You selling autographs, shirts, anything?
No, just watch me fight in 5 weeks. I'm excited about that. That's about it.
5 weeks. And we got to figure out if we're going to do a live show that week of your fight. Like if we can do it Tuesday or Wednesday, if that's good for you or it's too close to the fight, we of course we understand. But, maybe something there would be dope. That'd be cool. Vegas.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
There we go. Awesome. G, we'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh, should we do our intro as an outro? Should we roll out with this?
I mean, like you might as well. It's just so good.
Might as well. Dean Thomas, get better. Come on, watch this outro.